Have you ever imagined coming face to face with creatures so terrifying that even fictional stories seem pale in comparison? What if I told you that these creatures are found in the pages of the Bible, ready to emerge from the depths of history and challenge our very perception of reality? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But the truth is, amidst teachings of faith and life lessons, the Bible also reveals beings so impressive that they would make anyone rethink their greatest fears. From dragons to giants to monstrous sea creatures, these figures are not just symbols but living warnings about the power and mystery surrounding the divine plan. Behemoth. Imagine a creature so powerful and imposing that the mere swing of its tail resembles a gigantic cedar tree. Behemoth, described in the book of Job, is a true force of nature, a herbivorous beast that many believe symbolizes a hippopotamus or possibly a dinosaur from the Diplodocidae family. But beyond that, it represents something greater, the grandeur of divine creations that defy human understanding. When you think of this creature, imagine watching a giant moving slowly, yet with the confidence of one who dominates its territory, indifferent to the amazed eyes watching it. In real life, this image can be compared to those forces or challenges that seem insurmountable at first glance. Just as Behemoth moves with determination, it's important that we face our obstacles with the same confidence. When you encounter difficult situations, remember that, like Behemoth, you were also created to resist and overcome. For example, think of facing a challenging project at work or a complex task in your daily life. Just like Behemoth, your inner strength can be the key to victory. The dragon. Satan. The dragon, described in the book of Revelation, is a terrifying and enigmatic figure, a true representation of evil incarnate. With 7 heads and 10 horns, it symbolizes the destructive force of Satan, who relentlessly pursues those who follow Christ. Imagine this serpent-like creature, a cunning figure always lurking to devour whatever crosses its path. More than a literal image, the dragon represents the traps and temptations that surround us daily, those negative influences that try to lead us away from the path of faith and truth. In practice, the dragon can be seen in the daily battles we face against temptations and difficulties. Just as it pursues Christ's followers, each of us faces our own dragons, whether they be internal fears, tough situations, or negative influences from others. Think of that harmful habit that seems impossible to break, or that person who constantly plants doubts in your mind. Facing these challenges with courage and faith can be compared to defeating the dragon, one step at a time, resisting the seductions that surround us. The beast from the sea. The beast rising from the sea, described in Revelation, is a terrifying creature with a mix of animalistic traits. The body of a leopard, the feet of a bear, and the mouth of a lion. With 10 horns and 7 heads, it receives power from the dragon to dominate and conquer. This creature is often associated with the Antichrist, representing the tyranny and evil rule that will seek to control the world in the last days. Imagine a force rising from the depths, aiming to subjugate everything and everyone around it. In symbolism, it serves as a reminder that evil can emerge from where we least expect, and with great power. In practical terms, the beast from the sea can be seen as those systems or structures in society that, instead of bringing justice, promote oppression and control. Think of situations where you encounter toxic environments or corrupt systems that seem unbeatable, like a company exploiting its workers or a government abusing its power. The example of the beast from the sea teaches us to stay vigilant and recognize these forces, not allowing them to control our lives without resistance. The battle may seem impossible, but just as in Revelation, victory over these forces is promised to those who stand firm. The locusts from the abyss. The locusts emerging from the abyss, described in Revelation, are a vision of pure terror. With scorpion-like tails, human faces, and bodies covered in impenetrable armor, these creatures are tasked with tormenting those who do not follow Jesus. They do not destroy crops like ordinary locusts, but instead inflict deep pain, like a scorpion's sting that leads not to death, but to agony. Imagine a swarm coming from the abyss and the feeling of helplessness of anyone in their path. At their core, these images serve as a reminder of the separation between those who stand firm in their faith and those who turn away. Applying this to everyday life, these locusts can symbolize the torment we face when we stray from our values or faith. Think of the anxiety that arises after making wrong decisions, or the moments of confusion and despair that seem endless. Just as these creatures torment relentlessly, our mistakes can follow us until we return to the right path. Overcoming these difficulties requires not just strength, but also the courage to seek spiritual protection that prevents us from falling into the traps of despair. The wild ox, aurochs. The aurochs, mentioned in the book of Job, was a fierce creature, impossible to tame. With its brute strength and colossal size, it represented the untamable power of nature. Today we know that the aurochs was the ancestor of modern cattle, a creature that roamed freely through the fields, commanding respect from all who crossed its path. Imagine what it would be like to try and subdue it. It was uncontrollable, a symbol of wild freedom and brute force. The aurochs reminds us of those forces in life that, no matter how hard we try, remain beyond our control. In practical life, the aurochs can represent situations or people that resist any attempt at control. Think of that project at work that doesn't seem to progress, no matter how much effort you put in, or relationships that seem to slip through your grasp. Like the aurochs, these situations demand that we recognize our limits and learn to live with what we cannot change, without losing focus on what we can still influence. Sometimes, the best approach is to accept the untamable force and find ways to coexist with it. Nephilim. The Nephilim, mentioned in the book of Genesis, are one of the Bible's most mysterious figures. They are described as giants, offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, a hybrid race that left its mark in ancient times. Imagine beings of superhuman stature and strength walking among men, defying norms and natural laws. These giants symbolize the crossing of boundaries between the divine and the earthly, something that makes us question just how far humanity can go when it crosses lines it should not. In practical terms, the Nephilim can be seen as those challenges or influences that seem larger than life itself, figures or situations that dominate our attention and make us feel small. Think of that influential person who seems out of reach, or those situations that appear insurmountable. Just like the Nephilim, these forces challenge us to rise above, to find within ourselves a greater strength to face them. When we confront the giant in our lives, it is the moment to prove our ability to go beyond the ordinary. Leviathan. Leviathan, described in the book of Job, is a colossal creature that dwells in the depths of the seas. With its indestructible body and the ability to stir the waters around it, it is seen as an unstoppable force of nature. Some compare it to dragons or giant marine reptiles like the Mosasaurus. Imagine a being so powerful that upon surfacing, it causes chaos and destruction, unreachable and uncontrollable. It represents the forces of creation that mankind can never dominate, a reminder that there are powers beyond human understanding. In the real world, Leviathan can be compared to those crises that arise unexpectedly and seem impossible to resolve. It could be a financial crisis, a personal loss, or a moment of great difficulty that completely shakes our stability. Just like Leviathan, these situations seem uncontrollable, but it is in these moments that we are called to find our inner strength. Overcoming such a crisis is like navigating turbulent waters, and the key lies in maintaining faith, knowing that, just as in the end times, Leviathan will also be defeated. Now that you know these biblical creatures, think, how can this impact your life? The battles we face can be as challenging as the giants described in the Bible, but just like these creatures, they can be defeated. If these stories made you reflect, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep exploring the mysteries of the Bible and apply them in your life. Knowledge is the first step toward transformation.